All right. Hey, I just did my live session on the Sicilian opening traps and puzzles, and I promised I was going to do a game of Bobby Fischer against his favorite Sicilian opening, and I forgot to put it. So I will make this a recording. I'm going to do it this way. All right. Hang on just a quick sec. I will see if I can do it this way. Oh boy, that makes me too big. I don't want to do a new layout. I don't know how to redo this. Let me do this with me in the down corner. You don't want to look at me anyway. You want to see this game. This game is really a superb game of Bobby Fischer. I'm really excited to show you this. I did a bunch of themes on the Sicilian, and he got a brilliancy prize for this. Fischer's playing white. So he opened with characteristically E4, C5. So we've got the Sicilian defense. Here we go. And he'll do the 3, and he'll come up with it. He's playing Balbocan from Argentina. This happened in Stockholm, 1962. D6 was played, and now D4. Fischer was right for the center. Typical C takes D, knight D, knight F6, knight C3. So we saw this many times in my live session earlier this morning of various ways that we can play these. Here's how Fischer played against the Sicilian here. He's going to prevent he's not only going to stop the knight, but he's going to stop the bishop as well by pushing that H3. So see, even Bobby Fischer played these kind of wing pawn moves. It's not that they're a mistake. The A6, this move was considered a loss of time, and so Fischer felt justified, he said, in doing the H3 for the moment. Pulls his knight to C6. They're going to put tension on each other here. He might have an option for the knight here because it's backed up by the pawn. We'll see what he does. Now, here is the really cool thing that Fischer did. And, you know, this early in the game, you kind of go, wow, that's very interesting. G4. So, of course, the knight's going to take. I mean, technically speaking, that's a free pawn. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Oh, come on. No, let's get back to G4. I played knight takes G4. No, knight takes D4. I apologize. Knight takes D4 and queen takes D4, and then E5 comes out. Okay, so he hits the queen. This looks better. This looks better. One of the downsides of bringing out the queen, of course, is because the queen is an easy target, but Fischer doesn't take her all the way back. He just bumps her back one move, and now black's going to prepare to castle, which is always a good thing. And now Fischer pushes the G5. I mean, right off the bat, and you're saying, wow, you know, he's not castled, he's not developed, and he's already ramming this pawn forward. This is Bobby Fischer in 1962. This is when he was getting seriously strong. So this is going to be cool to see what happens. D7. Once again, he's going to bring out his favorite pieces, the bishops. Develop speedily. And this has a question mark. It's really not his best chance, according to Fischer, is to go ahead and take, and then queen take. I think bishop take. Yeah, then queen take. And then queen take D6. That's what Fischer was saying he should have done, because that G5 pawn is just going to be such it's presenting difficulties all over the place. So instead, he went knight c5, and that means Fischer bumps his queen back one more time. So it seems to me like black is apparently making Fischer move his queen a lot uh, with tempo. Fischer recognizes that he's not going to be able to castle kingside, so he goes queenside, of course. His opponent's not far behind him in castling, and now he's going to solidify the pawn, and the rook is going to come to the partial open file. Discovery potential on the king. It's always a good idea to put your rook across from the king, no matter where the king is, either king or queen. So he does do that. Rook, Fischer will immediately put his king to b1, and his opponent goes h4. Whoops, no, he doesn't. Hold on. I skipped it. Sorry, king b1. Oh, it's way down here at the bottom of the page. No, his opponent did not. He went to knight d7. It is Fischer that went to h4. And now b5. So he's going to, of course, Fischer's over here pushing these guys. You're going to have to be over here on the queen side pushing yours. However, you need pieces behind those pawns for the pawn storm, right? So it doesn't seem to me like he has it. Fischer is going to go ahead and begin to eliminate not only some central pieces, but pieces that can defend the king from his kingside attack. So he exchanges the light squared bishops. Notice that he left. It's a good move because he left the bad bishop for black. The central pawns are on the dark squares. His bishop is on the dark squares, so that's his bad bishop. These two pawns are virtually making that bishop useless. He has nowhere to go. So we get the impression that black is somewhat cramped, not really very coordinated at all. Fischer has a spectacular outpost here for his knight when he so chooses. He also has this entire D file completely dominated. So this is looking good for Fischer. It's amazing how a position can deteriorate so speedily. So he's going to try, his opponent's going to try to get some more room, develop some more pieces. This would be a great outpost for that knight. Sincerely, not a permanent one, but it would hit the queen and the bishop, right? So rather than deal with that kind of shenanigans, Fischer just takes the knight. And you go, now, wait a minute. Bishops are supposed to be better than knights. This is true. But a knight on this outpost here is animal. And there's no reason to let him have it. And there's no reason to let him have the bishop either, the other bishop. Fischer doesn't want to be bishopless and leave a knight with the pawn structure the way it is. So he's very properly exchanged. Queen takes, and that gives Fischer his outpost. Nice fork on the bishop. Notice the bishop's undefended and the queen. And notice the queen is undefended. Now, it's not like he can't bop back and defend the bishop, but here white strategically is winning because he can't get rid of that knight. There is no pawn. Whoops. There is no pawn either here or here that can dislodge that knight. So it's going to take an exchange of pieces. That's why a knight on an outpost like this, you got to have the outpost. A knight on the outpost in the center is just so powerful. The squares that the knight dominates in the opponent's position is absolutely staggering. So Very good position. At this point, queen will butt back. And here comes Bobby expanding, also hitting the pawn, the center pawn, being able to expand his other pawn, gaining more space. Always a good theme to do. He's actually threatening f5. Man, black can't afford to let him get f5. That pawn storm is going to kill him because he's got rook and queen over or queen up with this rook dominating these pawns. This is a serious kingside attack with the knight still here, potentially coming into there. The position is absolutely enormous here for Fischer as the white pieces. E takes F, of course. Queen will take F. Yeah, you have to take that. Yeah, I mean, black cannot not take the pawn. Fischer's already way, way, way too close. So instead of the pawn f5, Fischer puts the queen. Nice skewer of the queen and the rook. Yeah, the rook's developed. So technically, if this was a bishop, it'd be vastly better. But offering a queen exchange. So the question is, see, you've got no, yeah, black doesn't want to exchange queens. There is just no way. Rook c to d8. And yeah. The problem is, see, the knight controls this. The queen controls this. I suppose the queen could have come here. I just don't see why he left the queen. Now, here we go. This is what makes Fischer so dominant. The next move, you'll never guess it. I'm serious, you'll never guess it. The thing that makes Fischer so fun to watch is he could play on every area of the board in the middle of the most extravagant position. Now, this position isn't really extravagant, but it's definitely winning for Fischer. And what he does next is really interesting because it's more psychological than actual physical damage. But watch how he plays. It almost gives you the impression that he's playing cat and mouse with his opponent. And his opponent is a very strong chess player. So this is quite fun to see. So let's take a look at what Fischer does. He comes rook a3. He's going to attack the other side, right? Undefended pawn. That's a target. You got to watch those. And notice there's literally nothing against Fischer's king here. It's all Fischer going against the black king, right? Oh, so this idea is just, that's got to be unnerving. And so what his opponent does is he bumps the queen. Not really where he wants to be, but on the other hand, is pretty good. And now Fischer will grab the file. Notice his rook is in front of the pawn, and therefore he can use this as an open file. And you've got a knight here, and you've got a queen. I'm just saying, the bishop is not well defended by just the queen. Yeah, this is going to get real interesting. And now g6. Not bad. Okay. He gets it. Yeah, he's all right. I'll come to g4. And now the queen can re-centralize to d7. Okay, so this is kind of like an intimidation thing. Because there's no way. But when you've got the attack like this, when your attack is so dominant, your queen is one of your best attacking pieces. So you're not going to trade her off, right? So a little earlier we saw Bobby, bumping up his queen to tell black, hey, let's take the ladies off the board and Black said, I'm not going to do that. Well, now we see the reverse. Black is coming forward. If you're an attacker, you want to keep your queen. But if you're being attacked, the theme is you want to exchange the pieces as best as you can. So now it's Black's turn to say, all right, now I'm ready. Now let's take the ladies off the board. So let's see what Fischer does. He says, all right, hold on. G6 and then Queen G4 and then Queen D7. He said, let's exchange. Fischer goes, No, now I'm not in the mood to exchange. I really do want to keep my queen on the board here. So far, this Sicilian has not worked out very good for Black. And Fischer is just really got him in all kinds of conundrums. But this does allow him to put his queen on a more active square. So this is a better spot for the Black queen. So you're white. You see, he's improved his queen position. What's the next move you would do here? It's a really important, interesting move. I already gave you a hint about it. When you look at the features of your board position, you've got him cramped. Remember, too, that the dark squares, he's pushed the G pawn. So the dark squares around the king are weak, right? You've got really two good advanced pawns here. Your queen is in great position to potentially do some real damage, push the pawn and exchange the pawns and bring the queen in here. And then there's all kinds of weaknesses. Your knight here is still hitting the bishop. And he's also got a superb outpost with check on F6. So you're going to want to watch that. You see the power of that knight. Nothing can take him out, right? He's got the wrong colored bishop to exchange the knight. So he's going to have to, if Black wants to get rid of that knight, and that knight's going to play a key part in a kingside attack, he's going to have to lose the exchange with one of them rooks. Or the queen in a real bad case scenario, right? Queen for a knight. Boy, Fischer would be thrilled with that. No, Fischer does this. Look, you're on the open file, right? Put it there. This file, you get your rooks or rook on that 7th rank like that. That is so powerful. And Fischer's there. He just puts that rook right where it belongs, man. Every piece is active. Notice the activity of this white rook is better than either one of the black rooks, right? The activity of the knight is very much better than the activity of that black bishop. That black bishop's basically been in jail for several moves now. The activity of the queen, the white queen, is an offensive activity compared to the black queen. This rook is playing defense, guarding from a back rank checkmate. As it is, it still gives support to that knight. So it also is doing a very good job. And once again, true to form, Fischer's pawns are just rock solid. This has created attacking potential. See, this pawn becomes a hook, right? You push this pawn here, and now you've got something to hit here, this exchange here. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out. And the rook will come to E8. And now you've got a potential target. Notice how completely blocked in. I mean, he's got him all crammed up in one corner, the black pieces, right? Fischer does. So he grabs the target. Hit the queen. So she comes to E5. And now the other rook hit the queen again. I mean, you guys, this is getting brutal. Watch where the queen goes. The weakest possible square. I mean, this is like sardines in a little tin can, isn't it? Black is just absolutely smashed against that last row. This is brutal. And now Fischer does a waiting move. What? Isn't that fascinating? What a psychological moment. You go, really? Oh my gosh. Well, he's got to look. Yeah, it's going to have to open up his king, but he has to get more air to breathe. His queen is just worthless. His king can't move. You put the king in check and it's over, right? So you got to get some air. This is his chance right here. Take it, eliminate it. Okay, now the queen comes out a little bit more useful potentially. This is all good. Fischer just runs it home. Press those pawns for all they're worth. Fabulous support. Fabulous support. Fabulous support. This is animal. The coordination is just so spectacular here. It's just something else to see. Bishop comes to g5. Now he's trying to get a queen bishop battery so he can at least try to get one of the pieces off the board, right? Because every one of Fischer's pieces are vastly more active. So you got to try to get an exchange going. Fischer ignores it. Takes the pawn. I love this. The theme for real is when you're going to attack the king and he's still got pawns in front of him like that, you're better off taking the pawns because it'll open up the king to the pieces. And so he foregoes exchanging a piece. And this makes sense because you're attacking. And so you want as many pieces on the board as you can. And if you're defending, then you do want to exchange. So Black's strategy here, bringing the bishop up to hit that knight, makes sense. He wants to get rid of it. But Fischer doesn't. What Fischer does want to get rid of, though, is the pawns because it'll open up the king. This is absolutely masterful. This is grand masterful chess. Let's keep watching, see how this game develops. This is simply phenomenal. This is just so powerful. F will take. And Queen B3. Would you have seen that move? The coup de grace. That is just so, that is so fabulous. Going to have a discovery of check on the king. That rook, wherever it goes, is going to cause serious damage because the king's going to have to move or else you're going to have to block that check. So the rook basically has free squares, which wherever he wants to go, he can go with complete safety. This is serious, excellent tactics. This is so cool to see. And he finally got his wish. Eliminate a piece, however. So he's got 4 pieces and Fischer has 3, and yet Fischer is winning. And he doesn't even have to do it difficultly. Just sidestep 1, check. Look where that rook's aiming. Look where this rook is. And look where the queen gets to go. Wow. Fischer just dominates, doesn't he? And of course, check. And here's where Black resigns. Because, of course, if the king takes, then the queen gets to come and have some fun, and the king will go back to f8, and then queen goes to king goes to f8, and queen goes to c8, mate. You can't go straight down. You can't go to here because the bishop, and you can't come over to here because the rook. So go that way because this rook has that file. I mean, that is an amazing game by Bobby Fischer that using the Sicilian. Uh, and I guess it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to all of us to see what kind of a. So many people have trouble with chess, and yet, if you learn a few of the book openings, if you just remember that your more forceful moves are your better moves to make, and that's what we noticed in this game with Fischer. Once he began to, he did a pretty good swift development, but he also put his pieces on more active squares in his opponent's camp than his opponent was able to do into his camp. That's called activity. You want your pieces to have more access to more squares than your opponent's pieces, and that's what made this so astonishingly interesting. Just a few moves earlier, say right at this point, Black is completely squished in that corner. He absolutely has no activity whatsoever. And look at all the squares that White is using. Look at that rook and that rook. Just those two rooks alone. What does this rook control? Nothing. What does this rook control? 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. I mean, Fischer's rooks are more than triple strong than the black rooks are. Yeah? What about this bishop? What squares does that bishop control? Not even that one, because of the pawn. Bishop controls 1 square. How many squares did this knight control? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. More than 4 times stronger than the bishop. And it's not even on an outpost. Same with the queen. Bobby's queen is in so much better of an activity. I think the black queen controls more squares, but they're not. Well, I shouldn't say they're not vital, but they're not dominating squares. Let's see if we can get her back over here. Yeah, they're not dominating squares. Those are important squares. That's true, but this one is vastly more important. So is this one. So is this one now that the rook's here. And you notice how that played such a powerful role in this game too. So yeah, it's just every one of Fischer's pieces are more active. Absolutely every one of them. And that's critical to his success. And there's so many more pieces and pawns in or pointing toward the black territory than there are of the black pieces pointing to the white territory. There is literally 0 black threat or influence even in black's king's area. It's all white dominating black. That's impressive to see. That's astounding. That's how to play like Bobby Fischer. So fun game. I will put a link to the live that I did today because the Sicilian traps and combinations, that was a lot of fun. I think the audience really, really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun there. And then in that link, in that live in the description, I'll put a link to this video too so that you can see, because I did promise to share this game of Bobby Fischer simply because it was so magnificent. I mean, every game by Bobby Fischer is worth looking at. So, all right, you guys, I will catch up to you just as soon as I can. Remember, you're awesome. Don't argue with me. I'm not in the mood because I am, of course, strictly correct. After all, I am the backyard professor.